Anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes for people to start hopping in. So let me get set up here. Gotta post this link in the Discord, let people know what's happening. Hope everyone's having a good President's Day. I got the day off. I don't know if you guys got the day off. That's why I'm doing this stream, honestly. Did my laundry already, got in a workout already, did my meal prep for the week already, cleaned the house a little bit. And I'm like, man, I'm either gonna just watch TV for the rest of the day and it's only like 1 o'clock, or I'm gonna do something productive. So I figured I'd do this live stream. I see someone jumped in. I'm just getting set up. Give me a second. I feel like this is going to be a light live stream because it's technically a Monday. I know some people got the day off, like I got the day off, but I don't think everybody does. Damn, all right, 10 people in here already. Never mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a lot of people got the day off. Let me get this chat popped out. John Shepler, first comment says, hey Nemo, what's up, dude? Carl Van Doren, 61 says, nice, man in motion. Yeah, dude, you know what I mean? You got to do stuff, while you have the time, right? Good to see you in here, Carl. Bo Rerun says, I'm a bot. No, you're not. Screwed In says, how are you, brother? I'm doing good, doing good. It's raining like hell right now outside. So there's not a whole lot to do. Like usually on days like this, when I got free time, I'll like kind of just be like, oh, the sun's shining in Southern California. Like I'll go on a drive or something. Or like I'll purposely go outside to get some fresh air, but like it's raining cats and dogs right now. John says, nope, he's working. Nice. Yeah, Ben, I got the day off. Yeah. It's President's Day. It's a shipping holiday. So, Bo Rerun says it's raining in NorCal. I think it's raining in most of the state. Yeah. Yeah, we have what California considers a storm happening right now, but it's not like really a storm in my opinion. It's just raining. Joseph says, howdy. What's up, dude? Carl says, got to go swimming and work. No, I'm not going swimming. John, yeah, I'm going to Axpona in April. I do that every year. You know what I mean? And friendly reminder, guys, if you see me at Axpona, feel free to say hi. I'm not there to meet manufacturers. I'm not there to interact with business professionals. I'm there to meet you guys. So feel free to interrupt me. Feel free to pull me aside in the hallway, say what's up. That's what I go for. Any of you guys are going to Axpona? Let me know. Ted K says, so, my man, good video on the SVS sub. Thanks, dude. Yeah, that really surprised me. If you guys haven't seen it already, I reviewed the new SVS 3000 Revolution. And in the video, I said it like twice. I was expecting it to have the same SVS house sound we all know, can pound like hell. Crushes a little detail, not the most articulate, but just a lot of good clean output for the money. And I was expecting the new model to be able to get lower and louder, but they made some changes and this darn thing has some pretty darn good bass fidelity, actually. It was pretty good. Hey, what's up, Shihu? Ed Beck says, hey, Nemo. John says, I'll see again at, you're probably saying, you mean to say, I'll see you again at Axpona. Cool. Nemo is correct. He's super friendly and a hell of a guy. Thank you, man. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Dylan, that's a common, so Dylan says he hasn't seen the 3000R video yet. But he's like, based on the comments I'm seeing, it sounds like SVS is going more SQ focused. No, let me clarify that. I was comparing it to the outgoing 3000. Compared to the outgoing 3000, yeah, it's definitely has better bass fidelity. But having great bass fidelity doesn't make a sub SQ focus necessarily. JL Audio uses an all analog filter set. They don't use any DSP. There's no digitizing the signal. It's all analog. Their subs are incredibly quick, have incredible note-to-note distinction, good handling of delicate passages. It's an outstanding subwoofer with excellent fidelity, but I would not call JL an SQ sub, because the SQ sub by its very nature is going to have very lightweight moving mass. That's what gives it that presence of just coming from an ink black background. That's what gives you the experience where it's like pounding on your body, but you don't really feel any weight on your ears at all. That can only be done with super lightweight moving mass. Now, why doesn't that fit the 3000 Revolution or the JL Audio or a number of any other subs that sound pretty darn good, but I don't call SQ? Well, because when subwoofer moving mass gets so lightweight, like the Rhythmic F12, like the REL T9X, like the, what else? Yeah, those two, sorry. They can't take a ton of power, right? Like the REL T9X is a 300 watt sub. The Rhythmic F12 is 370 watts, and they can get respectably loud and in Rhythmic's case, respectably low for the money. But you cannot send 1200 watts RMS to a SQ driver. They're too lightweight, so they can't take that kind of beating, right? There's a trade-off that happens in designs. What SVS has done is find a really nice middle ground, absolutely, but I wouldn't call it an SQ sub in that like it's like a Rhythmic where it's just really coming from an ink black background with this like absolutely perfect integration, or something like a REL S550. Like the 3000 Revolution has come a long way. It integrates so much better than the outgoing model. It is lighter on its feet than the outgoing model, but like REL TX range or REL S range or anything by Rhythmic is still lighter, still integrates a little bit more because they have such lightweight moving mass. Now, the trade-off REL and Rhythmic have is, to have as much output as something like an SB 3000 Revolution, you'd probably need a pair of F12s, right? So that's double the money. With REL, it's kind of hard to say because I don't know if even two HT1205s would do it. You might need like three HT1205s to do it. I think like 2.5 technically, but there's no such thing as half a subwoofer. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, essentially compared to the 3000, huge increase in fidelity, puts it on the same level as the Martin Logan Dynamo 12, which I said was one of the best sounding modern subwoofers that has smart features and a DSP and a cell phone app. But definitely watch the video. There's a lot of context in there. Suat says, "Good afternoon, my favorite prince." Thank you. You know what's ironic about, and guys, sorry if it's getting dark. It's raining outside, so it's pretty overcast right now. Suat, you know what's funny about you calling me a prince? Technically, almost could have been one. In my country, a couple generations ago, we actually were royalty. Now, not royalty over the entire region. What a lot of people don't know is like there was levels to royalty in a lot of countries where like you could be like the king of a province or a city, and then there's the king of the whole country. And my great grandfather was like the king of his province, which technically made my grandfather a prince, but they were overthrown. Might be great grandfather. I can't remember. Sorry, I was just trying to find my place. Rockroll says, "Nemo, wow, great SVS sub review. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it." Rancho Relaxo says, "Good afternoon." Good afternoon, my brother. Bo Rerun says, "I got some B&W Formation Duo powered bookshelf speakers and I like them way more than the 9s who sounded neutral." Yeah, I mean, the B&W Formation, they were hated by a lot of people because they were pretty expensive. They were like $4,000 or $5,000 when they first came out, and a lot of people kind of felt like it was Bowers and Wilkins, like the investment group that bought them. It was their idea to move forward with that speaker. But I heard it at a trade show, and love or hate the looks or the price, it sounded freaking awesome. There was a lot of sound power coming out of that pair of formations. John Shepler says, have you checked out the Nostalgia Emotiva speakers? Yeah, I saw those. Those look beautiful, man. I don't review vintage or modern vintage speakers like that, but those looked so good. I think they did such a good job. It was so obviously like a passion project for them. You could really see the love and care they put into it. I'm pretty sure it's like a limited production run. Otherwise, even though I don't normally review stuff like that, I might ask him for a review sample, but I'm pretty sure it's a limited run. And I'd hate to turn a brand new set into an open box because they're probably going to sell all of them if they haven't already. That's just my guess. Ted K says, would you consider Rhythmic an SQ sub? Ted K, you must be new to the channel, brother. I've been saying that for years, yes. Ben says, give Nemo some likes on this live stream. Yeah, please, guys. I'm a bad YouTuber. I never do the like. I never tell people to like and subscribe, but it is actually really important that you do like the live stream. Ben is absolutely correct. The more people who like the live stream, the more YouTube realizes, oh, the audience enjoys it. Let me share it with more of the audience. You would think if you're subscribed, YouTube would give you the notification, hey, Nemo's streaming, but it doesn't. YouTube will only share the stream notification with my most like hardcore fans. And then it expects it waits for your feedback before it shares it with the rest of my fan base. Fan base sounds kind of cheesy. Audience, you know what I mean? All right, where did I leave off? Rancho says he hit the like button. Thank you. Craig Foreman says, what's up from Milford, Connecticut? What's up, dude? What's up? Your weather is over here right now. We're getting tons of rain. Ben says you switched waters. Did you get no? This is no. This is my go-to, brother. This is the OG favorite, the Waterloo Strawberry. We like LaCroix too over here. Don't get me wrong, but this bad boy, this is my go-to. This is my daily driver, if you will. I'm mixing this in my hydro flask, like half and half. I'm drinking like 5-6 of these a day. This is my absolute favorite one. And on that note, I think it's time for a sip. And sadly, Ben, no sponsorship still. No one from Waterloo's reached out. I've repped them on every live stream. I will shill for free sparkling water. At the rate I drink this, I've got about a $200 a month sparkling water habit. It's ridiculous. I feel like I need to tighten my mic stand. I think it's like falling on its own. Who cares? Serge says, how's it going, buddy? It's going well. Yup. I just saw it go down. That's going to really bother me. I think I have tools nearby to tighten it. Yeah, because I was just working on an amplifier up here. Oh, yeah, I could reach it from here. Guys, I'm pretty sweaty with tools. Sorry. Guys, I'm pretty sweaty with tools. I got this little nubby, like Weehaw, like universal, that you can like just kind of put anything in. And I got this little set of Wera Allen keys. If you strip Allen bolts often, Wera advertises these as like non-slip, and they freaking work. This is what I use anytime I open up a subwoofer. So let me see what size I need. Boom, right on the money. Look at that. Good luck. I should buy a lottery ticket. That should do it. Usually this thing doesn't need a lot of tightening. Just like a couple millimeters will give it enough tension to stay in place. I actually might have just tightened it a little too much, but that's fine. Let's get that where it needs to be, and it probably won't move for the rest of the live stream. Let's get these tools kind of moved. Don't you guys love how like just nonchalant I am? I'm not a professional YouTuber or streamer by any means. This isn't even my job. I just do this for fun and for free. I have a day job, so I never care if like my streams aren't perfect or my videos aren't perfect. Like I'll fucking cough in a video. I don't care. I won't even edit it out. It's staying in there. I'm a human being, man. I ain't making professional content. The information I give, I'd say is definitely professional grade. I take that part very seriously. The listening impressions, I put a ton of time into that stuff, but production quality, get out of here. Floda says, good morning from Australia. What's up, dude? I've never been to Australia. I've always wanted to go. Seems like a great place. High Octane Hi-Fi says, I have a Rhythmic F12 400 paired with a pair of Tectons. Nice, nice. Look, I've never heard Tectons, but I know people like them. Should I match with an exact same sub, or would it be okay to add a FVX12 or E15? Sounds like a music system. Add a second matching sub. I don't see a reason to not match your sub, right? Now, if this was a theater and you're like, I have the F12 400 up front and I love it, it makes the whole main stage sound bigger, but I'm looking to add a ton more LFE, then sure, I might say like, yeah, go ahead and throw a FVX12 in the back of the room or something like that. But it sounds like this is primarily a music system. Just add a second F12 400. You'll be really surprised how much adding a second matching sub will do. John says, Prince, I thought you reminded me of Rasputin. Well, because of the beard? Rasputin did have a big beard. Oh my God, is it the real Shane Lee up in here with the $5 super chat? What's up, Shane? Or what's the name of your channel now? It's just Shane Lee now, right? It used to be Spare Change. Guys, if you haven't seen Shane's channel, check him out. If you watch my videos and you get annoyed every time you ask me to review a big subwoofer, because I say I don't review stuff over 100 pounds, Shane does. Shane reviews subwoofers that are 300 pounds. What was it, Shane? It was it was like a 21 inch from RBH. 21 inch. It was something like, once it was loaded up with all the sand, I think it was like 340 pounds. This man loves big subwoofers. If you guys like to see reviews of big subwoofers, check out Shane Lee. Serge says, currently have 2 Rhythmic E15 HP2s. Great sub, great sub. 1 in the front and 1 in the rear. Planning on 2 more to attack some modes. Any experience with a Swarm? Not firsthand, not in my room, but one of my buddies has, he ran dual F18s up front, and then I think he had 2 E15s in the back. And then I think he actually even ended up adding a G25. He went crazy. And it can totally be done, right? Plenty of guys run 4 subs. You can definitely do it. I don't know if you're planning to dial that in by ear or if your AVR has the functionality to handle that. That might be something you might want to talk to some guys about. I have not set, sorry, I got to turn down my screen brightness. It's bothering me. I've never set up 4. I don't know if that can be done by ear. Everyone I know that has set up 4 or more, like 4, 6, even 7, 8 subs, has always used some kind of super advanced like room calibration, because there's so many drivers at that point. It's really important that you get the timing right. If you don't get the timing right, you're going to run into a lot of odd cancellations. Like, it'll fix the mode, but then like your 60 hertz is just like dead, or your like 35 hertz is dead because the phase alignment, the time delay is just not what it needs to be. So if you don't already at minimum have like some kind of room correction, look at REW, look at getting a UMIC. I don't know what model they're on these days. Maybe Shane knows. Shane, if you know the direction this man can go in, drop it in the chat if you're still in here. Shane's definitely done multiple subs. He's got a Trinnov that can handle, I don't even know how many subs. John says Benji is awesome too. Serge says, yeah, 2-channel system. Damn, you're trying to do quad subs on a 2-channel system? That's pretty hardcore. I'm guessing you don't have like an AVR with automatic room correction. Then you're going to want to learn how to use RU or REW and get the mic. You're going to take a lot of measurements. Corky says, hey, Nemo, will you be reviewing those $300 Vanguard bookshelf speakers that Jay just reviewed on his channel? I don't know. I don't know which ones those are. I don't watch a lot of other creators' content. In fact, I've actually clicked do not show me this channel on almost all the other hi-fi YouTubers. Not because I dislike them. I like those guys a lot. They're great guys. It's just that when I'm using, because I use YouTube to run my channel, when I want to just like use it personally, I don't want a lot of hi-fi content. I'd rather see anime content, video game content, stuff like that. Just stuff that I personally like, space content, physics content. You know what I mean? So I don't watch a lot of those guys' stuff. But I was talking to Vanguard a little while ago, and they are working on something new. And that's more what I got my eye on. It's in the subwoofer range, and I'll just say this. It's going to be cool. I think it's going to be really cool. Okay. I don't want to say too much because I don't know how much information is public yet. And when I get those new subwoofers, I'll probably get whatever like popular speakers he has at the time too, because I have been wanting to check out his speakers. Bo Rerun, you're being a hater. No woven fiber 12-inch speakers and cheesy wood veneer is an easy pass on the Emotiva Nostalgia loudspeaker. Why so jaded, bro? It's such a good looking speaker. It looks so good. Well, why all the hate? You know? Ben says, what's in your review pipeline? Any goals for the year? Review pipeline, I have the Atome GT sub, which is super good. Super good. That's another SQ sub. I finally found a third brand that makes SQ subs. Man, it is so good. Sounds so good. It's almost like a REL S550 in a different shape. What else? We have the Morel Avirus 622s. That's a great speaker around like $1,200, I believe. That gives you a look that would have you think it costs double. Really good, powerful bass coming out of that thing too. I have Thomas's stereo amp as well as both of his preamps I have to check out. What else do I have? I have a list here. Let me look at it. That's mostly it right now. I do also have the Unico Do, but that's mine. I own that, so that'll be like bottom priority. And then Axpone is coming up, so I'll probably, you know, I don't know when I'll review the Unico Do. As far as goals for the year, December 6th, I started tracking all my calories. Any food I put into my body, I track the macros on an Excel spreadsheet. And I've been walking every day for 30 minutes, and I plan to do that every day for the remainder of the year. I have one rule, and that's we walk for 30 minutes a day, no matter what, as long as it's not raining. I don't need the sun to shine. I don't need it to be warm. It could be 40 degrees outside. I'm walking as long as it's not raining. Today it's raining. This is the first time since I started walking every day I'm not walking. Just I don't want to walk in the rain. I'll get hit by a car, you know what I mean? Oh, I didn't even read your comment, Shane. I'm sorry. He said, how dare you review the SB3000 before me? Hey, you got to be quick, bro. You know what I mean? You got to be quick on your toes. You'll probably get more views than me anyway. Oh yeah. The Shane Lee says not just the 21-inch. There was also a 100-inch that he covered, but I think the 100-inch you like flew to their factory. Like you didn't have that in your room, you know what I mean? Or did you? I don't think you. I think you flew to their factory. Rudy says my PB2000 still amazes me. Yeah, the PB2000 is a rumble monster. It can shake the room pretty damn good. That's a good vented sub. Yeah. So to I think it was Serge talking about doing 4 subs. Shane chimed in. He's like, yeah, I use REW. Neil Caffrey says, hey, Nemo, tell us more about the Morel speakers you have. I could do that. Let me take a sip. Hold on. So, interesting stuff. I've known about Morel for years. They're considered a pretty top tier brand in car audio. They make SQ drivers and really good amplification. And they did make home audio products about 15 or 20 years ago. And then they stopped for some reason. They really slowed down. They're based out of Israel. And to the best of my knowledge, most of their products are manufactured in Israel as well. So for those of you that like a product that's manufactured in the same country where the company's headquartered and not made in China, Morel is one such company. They do some unique things. Morel has always been known for using absolutely massive voice coils in their drivers. For example, they have a 10-inch subwoofer. It's a car audio driver. It's like $800. This thing's not cheap. Just the driver, the raw driver, $800. This 10-inch subwoofer driver uses a 5-inch voice coil. The Avira 622 that I have in for review, it's 6-inch woofer, uses a 3-inch voice coil. That is massive. That means most people are never going to find the thermal limits of the speaker. That means you can probably send a lot more than published power to it. The driver will never fail. You might burn up the crossover if you send 500-600 watts RMS through it. You might burn up the tweeter, but you will never, ever damage that bass woofer. In terms of the sound, they chose to leave a little bit of energy up top. It's not incredibly bright, but it does have a little bit of extra sparkle, more than I would consider neutral. The mid-range is nice, thick, and full, a lot like the Bucard S400 Mark II. And the bass region is nice and full also with good deep extension. It's a great speaker. The only gripe is when you get up close, you notice it's vinyl finished. And it's contrasted by these beautiful big wood veneers on the sides. And when you get close, those wood veneers are so nice that, from a foot away, that vinyl looks so cheap. But it's a $1,200 speaker. We don't expect it to be painted. And from 3 or 4 feet away or more, it looks incredible. You can't tell they're using vinyl on it from a few feet away because your eyes just seeing that beautiful wood. So yeah, that's about as much as I'll say, and I'll probably say most of that in the review. You know what I mean? Where did I leave off? Rolex DSSD says, yo. What's up, Rolex? Serge says no AVR. Yeah, I've dialed in two E15s with REW and played amp adjustments, looking to get mini DSP, which should integrate to my Purist system well. Yeah, bro, if you've already been doing this all by ear and with REW and with just the available settings, try to continue down that route and only buy the mini DSP if you need it. Because less is more, right? If you don't need it, you don't need it. Bruce is saying he's thinking of purchasing a F18 or a SB17. Any suggestions? No, I haven't heard the SB17. I don't usually review subwoofers that big. The F18 was an exception. I haven't heard the SB17. I just can't comment on it at all. I don't want to guess. I don't want to assume. I just haven't heard it. Not even in a showroom, not in a dealer demo, not at a trade show. I've never heard it. I can't say anything about it. If you have any questions about the F18, which I have reviewed, I'm happy to answer those questions. Bo Rerun says, looks like my tiger print winter blanket. What are you talking? Let me look up this Emotiva speaker. I don't remember it being weird like that the way you're saying it. I don't even think they have any left in stock, but let's look. So shop all and loudspeakers. Okay, here it is. 3,000 a pair. Yeah, they still have them. Bro, this is a beautiful speaker. What are you talking about? I'm going to put a link in the chat to this speaker that Bo Rerun is saying is ugly. Now, look, if vintage or modern vintage isn't your thing, that's okay. That's not my thing. I wouldn't want these in my home aesthetically. But for a modern vintage speaker, I think it absolutely looks the part. I don't see a problem. I think they look great. Rolex says we need a good review of the PB5000. You guys are playing games. Shane, please review the PB5000 for the people. The people want to see it. I'm not doing it. You guys know I'm not doing it. It's too big. I'll show you why. Let me go to SVS's website. Let's look up the weight. And here's another thing you guys don't realize. Subs like the fucking PB5000 are so big, they usually ship on a pallet. I cannot accommodate a pallet in my garage. I'm not putting a pallet next to my two beautiful cars and risking that thing with one of its nails sticking out, bumping into one of my cars. It's just not worth it. But look, let me because you guys don't know. You guys don't realize how heavy some of these subs are. You probably think the PB5000 is like 90 pounds, 100, maybe 110 pounds. No. These things are way heavier than you guys realize. Let's see here. Where is it? Let's go to specifications. Shipped weight, 174.3 pounds. That's the shipped weight. That's how heavy the box is. That's definitely coming on a pallet. Weight unboxed, 154 pounds. You guys are crazy. I only have one spinal cord, and it's got to last me the rest of my life. I only got one set of knees, and they got to last me the rest of my life. I am not reviewing a 175-pound subwoofer. Shane Lee, you can step in and do that. Do it for the people. They want to see it. I can't do that. Corky says, any update on the Triangle BR04? Has anyone seen reviews on those lately? So Corky, last time I talked to my contact at Triangle, he was like, honestly, brother, they're selling like hotcakes. We don't need any reviews. If they slow down, we'll get you a review sample. But for now, every unit we produce is selling, right? And I said, hey, that's totally cool. I don't want to take a review sample if they're selling that well, because a review sample is one less unit for them to sell. I'll see them at Axpona. My rep is always there, and I'll check in with him again. You know what I mean? But I don't think that speaker needs any marketing. And guys, don't be mistaken. A review is marketing. Whether the reviewer's paid or not doesn't matter. It's still marketing. Like, I don't get paid a dime. It's still marketing. It's still advertising in a way. Gonna need another one in a second. Taroy Boy says, hey Nemo, I watched your recent 3000R vid and Rhythmic FVX12. I don't remember you doing a comparison. Yeah, I don't do comparisons anytime there's a big price disparity or anytime there's a big size disparity, right? Because the reality is, people, when they're in the market to buy something, they're looking at similar sizes and similar prices when it comes to subwoofers. Because if you could fit a big subwoofer like the FVX12, then get the FVX12. The 3000 Revolution is for the guys that can't fit something that big. Otherwise, you'd buy SVS's own PB2000 or PB3000 even, right? So no, I don't do comparisons when there's that much of a disparity, because in my opinion, the only reason people ask for comparisons at that point is for entertainment and funsies. And I don't make comparisons just for fun or just for entertainment. I put a lot of thought into these things, and my goal is to help the person make a buying decision. So if you are genuinely considering buying either the smaller 3000 Revolution or the much larger FVX12, I'd like to know why you're cross-shopping two subs that have such big size differences. And then I will consider answering the question. Mike says, yo, Nemo, what's up, brother? What's up, Mike? Brandon Keller says, ordered and paid for a Rhythmic sub a few weeks ago, and they will not be in stock until May. Yeah, Rhythmic sell out quick. That's not a big deal, though. That's not too long to wait. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Ben says, have you ever tried to high pass speakers through a plate amp on a Rhythmic? No, none of my Rhythmics have high pass. The only way to have a Rhythmic plate amp with high pass is you have to special order it that way at the time of purchase, right? And I believe that low level is the correct way to set up a Rhythmic. I don't see any reason to use high level unless you have like a legacy amp or something like that. But I mean, you can add high level to any sub. SVS, for example, sells a high level to low level adapter, right? Because so many people complained that their 2000 and up models don't have high level. They're like, fine, here's a high level adapter. For whatever reason, if maybe you got a tube amp or an old AVR that doesn't have sub outs, I'll link it so you guys can see it. But again, there's no reason to add high level to a subwoofer unless you have a legacy amplifier. Or I suppose if you have like a stereo amp and its pre-out is like really shitty and introduces like a lot of like time domain issues or phase problems, and some sub outs do that, then yeah, it might be a good idea to run high level because you'll be bypassing the shitty subwoofer output. But most good amps should have a pretty damn good sub out. Neil, I have heard the Sopras, but not in my home. Like I haven't reviewed them. What I generally tell people if they're interested in the Cancer or the Sopra is Sopra, you know, because the USA prices are so high on those speakers now, is to check out the Monacoustics Platamon instead. Danny says, do you use speakers on flat or reference? Huh? Danny, what do you mean? Do you use your speaker on flat or reference? I don't know what that means, bro. Can you clarify that question, please? I'll answer it again. I don't understand it. Bo Rerun says, in your opinion, what bookshelf speaker under $1,000 create a big and tall soundstage? Can we add $49 to it? Because the Dynaudio Emit 20 is my answer, and it's $1,049. That's the one. It is a slight V-curve speaker. Big sound stage though. Love that speaker. Love it. If it really needs to be under $1,000, Dynaudio Emit 10. That one's, I think, 800. Rudy just laughed. He put a laughing emoji. I might need a Celsius, guys. This lack of light coming into my room is making me a little bit sleepy. Someone asked me a question that's going to piss me off and get me riled up. Maybe that'll get my blood circulating, you know what I mean? Taro Boy says, hey, one more question. Thinking hard about getting the Speedwoofer 12S, but I got 9x13 room and will listen at low to moderate levels. Bad idea? No, in terms of sound and performance, the Speedwoofer 12S does just fine in little rooms. Your room size is not a problem. The problem is it's going to look stupid. If you don't mind it looking giant and stupid in the room, it's going to sound fucking awesome. Fun fact, big 12-inch subs actually love small rooms. They sound fantastic in small rooms. If given the choice, if the sound quality is equal in a small room, I'd rather have a vented sub than a sealed sub. Vented subs, by their very nature, it's part of their inherent design, have a much wider sweet spot and actually sound better at very low volumes. Sealed subs tend to have a narrower sweet spot and tend to need to be played just a little bit louder to sound their best. And in a small room, sometimes you can't get them loud enough. That's a problem I had with the old SVS SP3000. It needed to play louder to sound great than my room needed, you know what I mean? So I was never able to get it in its sweet spot. But the RSL 12S, you know, being a vented sub, very wide sweet spot. Any volume doesn't matter. Room size doesn't matter. As long as you don't mind the look of that giant box in your room, look at me. You're going to fucking love it. It's a great sub. It is a great sub with an absolutely massive sense of scale and an extremely effortless presentation and bass fidelity that will shock you for a vented affordable sub. It has no right to be as good as it is for its price. That just continues to be, and I don't talk about value often, but like just one of the highest value subwoofers, period. Another thing this weather does to me, I don't know if you guys experience this too, it makes me a little tight physically. My muscles feel just like a little bit like they're pulling on themselves, you know? Maybe I'm just getting old. I'll be 43 in May. Where did I leave off? John Shepler says, I'm a car guy too. What's in the garage? 2018 Audi S7 in Sepang Blue Pearl that I've owned since it was new. Only has 70,000 miles on it. Lowered wheels, air ride controller, little sound system, prestige package, twin turbo V8. Love it. Had it tuned for a while, but honestly didn't need the power. And it made the car drive a little funky, so I took the tune off. Second car, 2017 Audi R8 V10 in Aura Crystal Blue. Coupe. That one's a fucking beast. 5.2 liter V10, 640 horsepower. That one is tuned, modified, lowered wheels, carbon fiber kit, all kinds of shit. Absolutely. I love the hell out of both of them, honestly. Ironically, I'm not like a big Audi fan per se. I just happen to have two of them. And I didn't plan on owning two blue cars. It just kind of worked out that way. The R8 is newer. I've only had that for like 6 months. Where did I leave off? Rudy says, not itching for a herniated disc. No, I'm not. And if anyone missed the context, Rudy's referencing my spiel about not wanting to review the PB5000 because it's 175 pounds. Yeah, dude, people get injured doing shit like that, guys. No way. Thomas says, hey, Nemo, great SB3000R review. How would you compare it to the Arendelle 1723 1S? Love the thought of the smaller footprint. Hold on. I need another drink. Give me a second. All right, we're back. The second sparkling water. This one is the LaCroix Guava. This is another really good one. This one has a lot of flavor. The Waterloo Strawberry is still my favorite, but I'll take a sponsorship from either company. My friends' kids, all my friends, we all drink sparkling water. And all my friends have kids. Like, we got like 7 kids in the friend group right now, like 2 and 3-year-olds. And they call it spicy water. So if I'm drinking a sparkling water and they walk by, they go like, right? And they want this, and they go spicy, spicy. And I just kind of like pour some for them and they love it. It's really funny and cute. All right. Someone was asking about the 1723. So I really wish more of you guys would join the free Discord because these questions have already come up in the free Discord and they've already been answered, but I will entertain them in this live stream also. So it's been a long time since I've reviewed the 1723 1S, and the way I remember and continue to remember how products sound is because I talk about them so much. You guys always ask me questions about products, so I'm constantly talking about them so it stays fresh in my mind. People don't ask me about the Arendelle 1723S as much, so my memory is starting to fade. All that's left of my memory of the 1723 1S is how big its sense of scale was, how effortless its sound was, how deep it was able to dig. It did all the things a really big sub should do, but it's not really physically big. And that's what was super impressive about it. In terms of its Note-to-note distinction, transient response, bass articulation, handling of delicate passages, and how it compares to the 3000 Revolution. I can't remember anymore because no one really asks about it. Sorry, brother. That's the best I got. That's what happens when I stop, when a product stops being a part of the conversation as often, the memory starts to go. And if anyone's wondered, like, hey, they say audio memory is so bad, how do you remember all this stuff? This is how, because I constantly talk about it. But just like anyone else, if I stop talking about it, the memory starts to fade. I did see that super chat. Who is that? Terroy Boy, $10 super chat. Love the idea of stupid looking sub in Rare Room. Thanks for answering the question. Fuck yeah, bro. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Enjoy that, big dog. I'll tell you this, Terroy Boy. Everyone who gets the 12S, they all reach out to me afterwards and they're like, dude, I can't fucking believe it. You were right. This thing's crazy. I can't wait to get that message from you. I just, whether it's in a month, 2 or 3 months, nothing puts a smile on my face more than hearing people's feedback of the RSL 12S. Because no matter how much I hype it up, you will still like, you'll get it and you'll be like, damn, I know he said it was big, but it's even bigger than I thought. All right, shit, I hope I didn't make a mistake. And then you set it up in your room and you're like, damn, like just the whole time it's just like, wow, this is big. And then you hear it and everyone's like, fuck, I know he said this thing was effortless, but holy shit, it really is an amazing sub. Suat says, did you get on the list to review the 1610 bookshelves yet? Yeah. I reached out to Arendelle. I talked to them. Obviously, being such a new line, they don't have a lot of review samples yet. I do have a smaller channel, so I'm probably a little bit lower on the list. Plus, I was like the first one to review the 1528, so like no worries if they got to give that first rights love to someone else this time. Like no problem. But yeah, I'm on the list. Guys, if me looking a little dim is annoying, there's one more light behind me I can turn on. If even one person says to do that, I'll get up and do it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep filming. TC Chevy says, do you run high level to your rels? Usually. Yeah, usually. Sometimes I use low level. It just depends what I'm doing. Like my whole S510 video, I used low level. But yeah, with my carbons, I'm usually using high level. Ben says, I'm talking about rolling off the mains lower frequency and setting those lower frequencies to the sub. I don't know what you're talking about, Ben. I don't get it. Sorry, bro. I think you're like adding to a previous question and I'm just not like making the connection. Neil says, I have the Kanta #1 at the moment. I live in Europe. Yeah, okay. So you have the good Focal prices. Yup. Yeah, in Europe, guys, Focal is priced a lot nicer. So you found Sopra #1s for 4,500 euro with stands. No, unfortunately not, Neil. I just, you know, hearing a speaker at a dealer demo one time a couple years ago, I don't feel comfortable commenting on it. What I can tell you is, just based on my interactions with the audience, I have talked to a few guys that went from Kanta #1 to Sopra #1, and they absolutely loved it. That's all the feedback I have. And I do think personally, I think the Sopra #1 does look a lot more beautiful for whatever that's worth. But if I were you, I would do it because you could sell your Sopras. I'm sorry, your Kanta #1s. So even though the Sopras are 4,500 euro for you, after you sell your Kanta, the Sopra will only cost you like even half that, I think. And he says, I agree, vented subs are better. I don't know if they're better overall, but like in the context I was talking about, yeah, they definitely have some inherent benefits. John Shepler says, Bose makes the best subwoofer. He's joking, of course, if anyone didn't catch that. Ben says, okay, the FVX 12s, 12x16, dedicated room, go for dual FVX 12s? Yeah, why not? Yeah, that'd be awesome. You know, look, anytime we get into these big vented subs that you guys know I love, if the physical size isn't a problem, fucking go for it. Go for it. Now, With that said, let's make sure you're not looking for the tightest bass in the world, because vented subs, no matter how good they are never as tight as their sealed counterparts. And some guys like bass that's really tight. Vented subs are just a little bit more loosey-goosey. Now, the FEX12 is still a tight-sounding sub. It's just not as tight-sounding of its sealed counterpart, the F12. So, kind of depends what you're looking for. If you listen to a lot of metal, a lot of EDM, things like that, you're going to love the FEX12. But if you want musical notes from real instruments to sound as accurate as possible, that's going to be more like the F12 or the E15 HP2. Personally, the FEX12 is my favorite rhythmic sub, but that's just me. Keith says, old? Haha, I'm 71. I love it when you guys say stuff like that. I really do. I'm not the type of person that minds at all when an older guy tells me I'm young or laughs when I say I'm old. I love it. I love it. Because one day it's not going to happen. One day that's not going to happen anymore, right? So anytime an older guy calls me kid or junior or bud, or they just say something to like imply like I'm still very young, no problem here. I take that with a smile, because one day no one's going to say that to me, you know? Suat says, dualies always. If you can afford it and you have the space, yeah, dual subs are awesome. Tom says, Rhythmic F18 sealed for music or Deep Sea Sound 18 for music. I've never heard the Deep Sea Sound. That's kind of like an obscure brand. I knew who they are, but they're just not popular in terms of like reviews. I never heard it. You know, I just haven't. It's just like the guy who asked me about the SB17. I haven't heard it. What I can say about the F18 is, you know, being a servo controlled sub, it is insanely accurate. And I'm not sure other brands are going to be able to make their large format subwoofer sound that good, but I could be wrong. I don't know. You know what I mean? No, I'm not going to the Tampa show. I only go to Axpona. Bill Bloomfield says, you freestyle your reviews live. Do you have bullet points or notes across the room to keep track? No. No, I don't. Pay attention to how dark my room is. If I had notes across the room, I wouldn't even be able to see them. They would have to be on a screen. They'd have to be like lit for me to see them. No, I don't use bullet points. I don't use notes. It is 100% a freestyle. No prep. The only prep I do is I take a shower before I film so my face doesn't look shiny, you know? And when I'm in the shower, I kind of like, I visualize the review happening. I visualize the open. I try to plan what I'm going to compare it to, but usually I don't even do that. And if you watch a lot of my reviews, you'll see I'll get to comparisons and I'll be like, all right, what are we going to compare this thing to? And I have to like look around my room to see what I have. There's no prep, brother. T Chevy says, dude, your room is ultra bright on cam. Is it really? Maybe my because I'm using my iPhone to do this live stream and I'm using the forward camera. So maybe my phone's brightness is just turned down, and maybe that's why it looks dim to me. That's definitely a possibility. Yeah. Damn, we got 80 people in here? That's a lot. I usually have like 50, 60 people in here. All the new people in here, you missed the beginning part. You got to like the video. If you like the video, it helps YouTube circulate it to more subscribers. Most of my subscribers don't know this stream is happening because YouTube does not tell everyone, right? YouTube only tells a small amount of my subscribers the stream is happening, and then it relies on your engagement, which is you liking the video, to decide if it's going to let more subscribers know the stream is happening. Ben says image looks fine also. Well, that's a hell of a name. That's a hell of a name. Oh, let's see if I could do this. Flumoxidin, Michigan, just joined. What's up, dude? Uncola says lighting is fine also. Greg Meyer, have you reviewed any Perlison speakers or subs? Thoughts? No. Most Perlison subs are really big and really heavy and ship on a pallet, and I just can't accommodate that. I tried to review the R8. I talked to the master distributor. They had just come out, and much like the Triangle Bro 4, he was like, bro, every single unit is sold out before the shipment even comes. You know what I mean? And I told him, don't worry. If they're selling that good, I don't want to take a review sample because that just means that's one less for a buying customer to buy. And I don't want to break someone's heart. So we put a hold on that. But maybe I'll check out like the 8-inch at some point. Flummox says, I'm not dim. Okay, cool. Tome 375 says, thanks for all your amazing work over the years. Forget the light, stay where you are. All right, will do. Easy. And anything someone tells me to do that requires me to do nothing is my favorite kind of feedback. That is my favorite thing in the world to do. Like if I ask someone a question about something and they say, don't worry, I've got that handled. My favorite thing in the world. If I don't have to get up, love that. I'm a big fan of not moving around a lot. I do move around and exercise a lot because I want to stay fit. But in a perfect world, I could just take a pill to stay in shape and just never get off my couch. I'm like a French bulldog or like any kind of bulldog, really. I just want to loaf around all day. Kevin says, Nemo, your channel is still 2 thumbs up. Awesome content, my man. Here's a question for you. What sub gives you the same pleasure as your Audi R8 V10? No sub. I love cars more than I love hi-fi, bro. You know what I mean? But, and also like, you know, like different stuff puts a smile on different people's face, right? Like, I love my Rel Carbon Specials, but I love my Rhythmic FVX12, like big vented sub just as much. Like those two, like really put a smile on my face like crazy. I don't have the RSL 12S here anymore because it was just too big for me to hold on to. But that's another one that would absolutely put a smile on my face. Those 3 subs are just freaking awesome for slightly different reasons. The RSL 12S is just for like its massive sense of scale. The carbons, just like the tonal textures are so beautiful. And then my Rhythmic FVX12 kind of like, you know, is like the middle ground. It has a lot of that big sense of scale as the 12S, but not as big because it's not as big physically. And then it has a lot of the tonal textures and richness of the carbons, but not quite on that level. Obviously, it's nowhere near the carbon's price, right? Uncola says Deep Sea Sound is supposed to be ultra high-end enclosure custom veneer subs. Yeah, like I know who they are, but like I never heard it, you know? Every brand's literature is going to say they make the best shit in the world, but I haven't heard it. I don't know. Tone says, see you in Chicago. Yes, sir. Says, hey, Nemo, Rhythmic 18-inch sealed for music or Deep Sea Sound sealed? Yeah, I don't know. Someone already asked that. I think you're trying to quote someone else and respond to them, maybe. BS video is great on LG OLED. Cool. I'm also an LG OLED user. That's a C1 over there. I have a C3 downstairs and an A1 upstairs. Great TVs. Bill Bloomfield says, seriously impressive with no notes. Thank you, dude. Yeah, I used to use note cards like many years ago. I've since deleted all those videos, but like when I was first just getting started, I was using note cards because I didn't trust myself. And then like I talked to Zero Fidelity one time and he made fun of me for it. And he's like, bro, like just stop using them. You don't need them. And I was like, all right, challenge accepted. And then I stopped using them. Tone says it looks good on the laptop too. Cool, cool. So Tom says I almost never see Rhythmic at the shows. Correct. There's a lot of brands you don't see at the shows. I've never seen Arendelle at a show. I believe Arendelle is attending this year's Axpona, though. I think it's their first time attending this year's Axpona. There's a lot of brands that don't do shows. You know what I mean? Suat says, are there any certain brands you're excited to see at Axpona? No. Not really. Like, I know, like, because I review stuff, you guys probably think I'm a gear guy that, like, loves gear. But, like, I'm not. I'm like the audiophile that loves music, that loves the way it sounds. And I love gear that makes it sound great. But I don't listen to my system. I listen to the music, if that makes sense. I liked my brand reps. Don't get me wrong. They're all like really nice people, but like I go there to see the audience. I don't like, I do this for free. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't care about the business side of this. I don't care about like having a better relationship with a brand. The fuck is that going to do for me? It's not like I charge them any fees. I don't really give a shit to like go out to dinner with someone, you know, like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's cool. Like when like Alvin was at Axpona from Vinshine Audio, like he lives in Singapore. You know what I mean? I don't know how often I'm going to have an opportunity to like spend any time with him or get to know him. So like, yeah, that was cool. I went out with Alvin from Vinshine Audio and Wang, the owner of Live Audio, and, you know, got to pick their brain. And that was like super cool and super fun. But, you know, for the most part, I don't know. There is, Rel always sends the same employee to Axpona and we always miss each other. So like I might go out with him if they do like a chill dinner or something, just because he's cool as fuck. But yeah, like I'm there more for the audience, bro. Chevy says bigger scale, go 212 black. Yeah, that comes with a lot of dollars though, you know. Not everyone can afford that. That's like someone saying they want a sports car and me saying, yeah, everybody should just buy a R8 V10. Like that's not in everyone's budget, man. Let's see what a 212 black costs. I don't even know. I think they're like 6,500. Let's see. Shop subwoofer. Series S. $6,000. $6,000. If you choose the wood slat grill, $6,600. Yeah, that's not something everyone can afford. A $6,000 subwoofer. That's big money, you know. But yeah, it's gonna have a massive sense of scale, of course. Tom says great TVs, Costco, baby. Nice. I got mine at Best Buy. I don't go to Costco. There's too many people. At least in my area. Way too many fucking people. I don't like Costco at all. I hate Costco, in fact. Uncola says, Nemo, did you see the Power Sound audio sub that has 6 21-inch iPal woofers? No. That sounds like it weighs over 100 pounds, though. So I don't care about it. But let's look it up just for shits and giggles. You know, I like weird stuff like that. Fun fact, too, guys. Power Sound Audio doesn't send review samples to anyone. That's why if you're like, hey, how come you don't review it? They've got some smaller stuff, like under 100 pounds. They don't send review samples. Even Shane Lee, who he reviewed one, he bought that. He bought that. They wouldn't. He's got 100,000 subscribers, and they wouldn't send him a review sample. Okay. So I see this TV 126. That's $9,000. Maybe it's this one. It's got to be this one. Yep. 6 21-inch neodymium high BL woofers. 8,000 watts or 12,000 for the iPal version. Let's see what it weighs. Boxed shipped weight, 450 pounds. iPal version, 600 pounds. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Are you crazy? There's no way. There's no way. Even if they paid me $5,000 to review it, then there's no way. There's no way. I don't even know if it would fit through my door. 31 deep, 37 inches wide, 125 inches tall. Good Lord. In-room extension, 7 hertz, 7 hertz to 9 hertz. Oh, they're just giving you a range. Okay, yeah. Yeah, dude, that's nuts. That is absolutely nuts. That's for the like 1% of 1% theater guys that are just absolutely insane. I feel like that's like something Youthman would run. I could see Shane being interested in something like that. Shane's a psychopath when it comes to big subwoofers. Wow. That's $12,000 for the high power version. Yeah, that's a little crazy, brother. That is not a Nemo product, but very cool. Very cool to see they made it. Mike says, have any preference on how you listen to music, meaning either Spotify, Amazon, Tidal? Tidal only. All I use is Tidal. Don't love it though. A lot of songs get like delisted and like I just lose them, and then I have like, it's really annoying. But I think all streaming services have that problem. Someone tell me if that's not the case, because a lot of times I'll go to play a song on Tidal and it's like, this track is currently not available, and it's super annoying. Mad Lads Anonymous says, do home theater speakers like RSL and Perlison interest you at all? Well, I have reviewed RSL speakers, but, you know, in terms of like Perlison, you know, like, no, not really. Not really. Really good theater speakers tend to be clean and clear and very neutral and very airy. And that's like, you know, awesome if that's what you're into. But I don't have like a natural desire to want to check them out. It doesn't mean I won't review them. I've reviewed Arundel, you know. Kevin says, in a hypothetical scenario, if you could find a way to tote the 175-pound REL number 32 down into your listening room, do you think it would ever leave? Like, are you asking if I would just like want to keep it? Not if I had to pay for it. I think it's like 10 grand. You know what I mean? I think it's 10 grand, right? Let's go back to REL's website. Yeah, 10 grand is a lot of money, dude. Like, I have it, don't get me wrong, but like, you can't buy everything. Like, no matter how much money you have, if you spend big chunks, like, you won't have that money anymore, you know? I'm not the customer for a $10,000 subwoofer, and I don't think REL made the number 32 for a guy like me with a little room, and you know what I mean? I think the number 32 is for guys that have $100,000 speakers, you know? But if they were just like, hey, you can keep this, like, yeah, I'd probably love it. That'd be so cool. I don't envision REL giving away a $10,000 subwoofer, though. Yeah, a few people guess the weight of that. Edmund says Costco thumbs down, love it. Flota says, are there any upgrade paths for sound quality if I have Rhythmic F18, putting aside size, SPL capability, etc.? More Rhythmic F18s. Make sure the damping's set to high. Maybe, you know, as good as the F18 is, right? The S850 by REL has nowhere near its output or extension capability, but maybe a 6-pack of them, right, would come close to like a pair of F18s in terms of output capability. That would give you more like tonal richness and texture and note-to-note distinction and transients, or like a 6-pack of Carbon Specials, you know, dual 212s, black labels. Like, is there better? Basically, yeah, but it's going to cost you like a horrendous amount of money, like 20K. But again, keep in mind, I haven't heard a lot of the large format subs. You know what I mean? I haven't heard the RS1 by JTR or whatever. I haven't heard a lot of the big power sound audio stuff, the new stuff. You know, I've heard their old stuff, but... Pal says, greetings, Nemo. What would someone going to Axpona for the first time expect or bring to the show? Yourself, your phone. That's it, really. I mean, it's, you know, the show takes place in a hotel, right? So if you got to go to the bathroom, there's bathrooms. If you get thirsty, there's a little food area on the second floor. It does get a little busy, so if you don't want to deal with that and, you know, you have blood sugar problems, maybe pack a granola bar or something. You don't have to bring anything, really. Yourself, your cell phone. Bring some money, maybe. You know, sometimes there are vendors on the first floor that do some cool cash deals on records, CDs. Sometimes small equipment is for sale, like streamers, you know, power conditioners. And sometimes there's deals on those. Yeah, it's not like going to a theme park, right? Where you have to like bring a ton of stuff with you, like sunscreen, and it's not like that. It's inside a hotel. And if you're flying out or driving from really far, you're probably going to be staying at a hotel that's like 5 or 10 minutes away. So it's a really easy trip. You got to remember the bulk of audiophiles are about 65 years old. So this, you know, these things can't be high maintenance. They got to be easy for everyone, and they are. The only thing I'd say is, regardless of what the weather is, don't if you like, you might pull up in a jacket, leave your jacket in the car, because it gets hot inside the hotel with so many people. But yeah, I don't think you need to bring anything. Like, I just show up as you see me now with my vape in my hand, and I film with my cell phone, and the only thing I have in my pockets is my cell phone and my vape. I don't have anything else with me. Mike says, imagine, oh, did your wall fall apart? No, my floor collapsed. He's probably talking about this, the 621-inch power sound sub. Bo Rerun says, I was considering the Klipsch RP10 new sub model. They are marketed to hit 20 hertz. I could believe that. I reviewed the RP1200 SW, and that thing got low. The only thing is it doesn't have the best note-to-note distinction. It's a vented sub through and through, like in the most classic sense of the word. Like all the negatives vented subs are known for, the Klipsch RP range has. A little slow, a little sloppy, crappy note-to-note distinction, crushes delicate passages, but it can fucking pound. It can pound. It sounds clean, but it doesn't have the most note-to-note distinction. Mega Martigo says, hi, Mimo. My friend's daughter calls me Mimo. That's funny. I'm guessing you're Hispanic in origin. Hispanic people call me Mimo. I don't know why, but I'm used to it. No big deal. He says, Gene here from London, please, have you ever reviewed Monitor Audio Sub? So, no, he's definitely not from Spain. He's from London. No, I haven't reviewed Monitor Audio. I have not. Oh, yeah, Suwat says, be patient waiting for the elevators. I just take the stairs, but yeah, the elevators could become pretty cramped at Axpona. Yeah. Bo Rerun says, any big audio shows in California or Las Vegas? Yeah, California has the show, THE show. THE stands for the Home Entertainment Show, I believe. But I'll drop a link to their website so you can see what I mean. Yeah, it's usually in like Costa Mesa or something. Oh, this one's in March. Oh no. So they have one in Vegas now for THE. It's March 20th. I wonder if they're doing one in California still. It's usually in California. Yeah, they're doing one in Texas too. Wow. Okay, so they are doing one in California. It'll be at the Hilton in Orange County in June. They'll also do one in New York. I'll just drop you a link to their website. Scroll to the bottom. It'll show the dates. Let me see if I can easily copy and paste the dates. Yeah, I think I can copy and paste the ones. Let's try. No, I think it's too long. Yeah, this is as long as it'll let me post. There you go. Red Pill says, Nemo, what the fuck happened to Topo Chico after the 2020 fiasco? I can't remember the last time I've seen a grapefruit one. Totally subwoofer related, by the way. So, first of all, I agree. The grapefruit Topo Chico is a top tier sparkling water. And I too have not seen it for sale in years. I've given up on it. I have no idea what happened. I don't know. I think they got bought out by like Pepsi or Coca-Cola and just, I don't know. Oh, pal, if you're there looking for CDs, there's almost always some vendors there, selling lots of physical media. Yeah. Joe Cool says, hey, Nemo, how does the tonality of the SVS 3000 Revolution compare to the tone of the Rhythmic E15 or LS510? They're all tonally pretty neutral, but like I don't think you'd hear any of those three subs and think any three of them were dry or warm. All three are pretty tonally neutral, man. Bobby Run says, muchas gracias. I want to hear $1 million system. I don't know if they'll have $1 million system, but a lot of shows do have $1 million systems. They're almost always a few 100K system. Million, maybe. Dan says, I lived in Costa Mesa as a teenager, so SoCal. Yeah, they'll have one in Orange County. Angus Kroll says, hey man, about to hit Axpona Chicago in April, looking to pair Philharmonic BMRs. By the way, I believe Philharmonic's going to be there. I believe so, yeah. With either a REL T9X or Rhythmic F12. I'm a bass head. Which do you think is better? In a big room, 400 square feet, Galleon Discovery monoblocks. F12, it's bigger, So the T9X and the F12 have similar fidelity. They're cut from a really similar cloth, right? You buy the T9X if you want the smaller sub. You get the F12 if you want the bigger sub. Imagine, just pretend like they're made by the same company. That's how close they are in terms of bass fidelity, right? The F12 being a 12 is just going to get lower and louder, and you've got a big room. You've said you're a bass head. You need the bigger sub. I'm even a little worried it's not going to be big enough, because you're saying you're a bass head. I don't know if 212s are going to do it for you. If you're a bass head, you might want a pair of E15 HP2s. You might want a pair of FVX 12s, honestly. What kind of music do you listen to? How about that? Let's start with that. Tell me what kind of music you listen to. That'll help me. But F12 between those two. Brian says, yo, gonna see you at Axpona again this year? Keep up the good work. Yeah, I go every year. I have since I started going. I don't understand what you're saying, just browsing. You say, Your comment says, if you want to, talk about being a guy who listens to music quietly but loves bass and subwoofers. It seems an unlikely combo. Not saying it doesn't make any sense. It's just interesting. Are you talking about me? I don't think I listen to music that quietly. I listen at like 80 dB, like 75 to 80 dB, sometimes peaking into 85, which based on my conversations with a lot of people, that's pretty typical. That's kind of just, that's like about where most people listen. Most people feel like below 75 is quiet, and most people feel above 85 is really loud. So yeah, I don't listen that low. The chat crashed. I got to reload it. Hold on, guys. Am I still live? We'll see once I load the chat again. Looks like we're still live. Let me get this chat popped out again. That was weird. So that's a name. That's a screen name. Digger Black 123. Maybe he's just a black guy that likes to dig holes. I don't know. He says, picked up the RSL 10E a couple weeks ago. Love the sound. Love the bass. Thanks for the review. Appreciate it. Hell yeah, dude. RSL 10E is an absolute monster for the money. So good. Matt Wright says, hey, Nemo, Spindrift Seltzer has great flavors too. So, Matt, I actually hate Spindrift. Yeah, I don't like Spindrift one bit. It's kind of like sugary. I don't know if they're using artificial sweetener or a little bit of real juice maybe, but not a fan of that. I don't actually have a sweet tooth. I like a lot of food. I can house a ridiculous amount of food, but I don't have a sweet tooth. It's really interesting. Angus says, thanks. Unfortunately, Rhythmic won't be there, but Rel would. Rel doesn't usually attend Axpona. Are they coming this year? I didn't know that. But they usually do not attend Axpona for one reason or another. I don't know why. So Angus, you listen to electronica, metal, and alternative. FVX12. 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 Listen to me. Just get the fucking FVX12. I listen to that same music. Electronica, metal, and alternative. And I own the F12 and I own the FVX12. And guess which one I use way more? The FVX12. Because the F12 is more accurate, right? 100%. The F12 is more accurate. But you're listening to electronic, you're listening to metal. You don't want accuracy actually in your bass. You want a little bit extra. Especially for that double bass, right? You want that to be really pronounced and articulate and clean and clear. That's what the FVX12 does. If the FVX12 is too big physically, there's also the LV12M pair you can get. That's my number one recommendation. Maybe go back and watch those reviews. I just re-reviewed the FVX12 recently, and my LV12M review is still relevant. Watch both of those. Strongly recommend that. Angus says you are live. Okay, cool. Just browsing says, my bad. The last video you put out, you commented on listening quietly and having earplugs with you a lot because things are often too loud. Maybe I read too much into that. You're talking about how I said I don't use IEMs in the verse video where I reviewed the live verse. Oh, the crescendo? Yeah, I don't use IEMs because my ear canals are sensitive. If I wear like in-ear monitors, for a few days, my ears start to like really hurt and they'll even like bleed. And I can like feel, if I put my finger in there, I can feel like little scars, And my ears are a little sensitive. I am sensitive to loud noises. Like I'm not retarded or nothing, but like, if I go to like a dinner, a business dinner, for example, in Las Vegas, those tend to be loud. I'll bring a pair of active earbuds with me. Yeah. Cause they're just, I've mic'd some of those restaurants. They're like 89 dB, just consistent loud noise. If they're playing music, I fucking hate that. I don't like being around sustained loud levels of sound if I can't control the volume. But, when I'm at home, like listening to music, yeah, I'll listen around like 80, 85 dB, but I can control the volume. I can turn it down. You know what I mean? So also, like 85 dB out of like my beautiful sounding speakers is a lot easier on the ears than 85, 90 dB in a restaurant because people are talking and dishes are clanging and they're playing like loud music off some shitty speakers in their ceiling. You know what I mean? Angus says, LOL. Okay. Yes, Raul will be at Expo in Chicago. I will rewatch. Thank you. No problem. No problem. Yeah. And Angus, just to be clear, if you didn't say you were a bass head, the dual T9X would be awesome. I fucking love the T9X. It's just, you said you're a bass head. That makes me think you're like a car audio guy. Usually guys like that are not going to be satisfied with 10s in a big room, usually. So we'll see. Mike says, I'm happy to see a lot of these subs around similar price ranges are all becoming very close in quality. Less and less, one is so much better than the other, etc. It depends. Kind of depends like what part of the bass or what aspects of bass you really value. Right? It really does. Like for example, the guys who are like, I want my bass guitar and drums to sound as real as possible, and I'm a musician by day. You'd be surprised how many people are like that. There's a lot of audiophiles like that. Those guys will not think most subs are similar these days. They won't, because those guys are very picky. They have a reference of live music in their mind. They want something very specific. Those guys are going to get a T9X no matter what, and they're not going to care that it can't get below 27 hertz, right? But I do get what you're saying. Just browsing, saying it was in the Revolution 3000 video. Yeah, you overthought it. You overthought it. Yeah. Mike says, I'm pretty sure I jacked my hearing from the two JL Audio W7s in the Bronco for years. Yeah, for sure. Like my right ear can't hear as well as my left ear. And yeah, it's 100% from, just banging car audio when I was a teenager, trying to be the cool guy with the loud stereo. I remember like my right ear hurting a little bit, even like when I'd be like banging certain songs in my car. I didn't want to turn it down though, I thought I was invincible. Angus says he has the same problem with in-ears. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone, man. I thought I was the only guy with weak ear canals. I saw an audiologist about it, and she's like, you have sensitive ear canals. I was like, bro, that makes me sound like a bitch. Like, what the fuck? But I guess it's just a thing, The drink is, nope, it's not empty. I thought it was empty. It's not. $72 people in here still. That's crazy. That's crazy. Guys, let's do something fun. Let's see. Sometimes I get crazy comments on YouTube. Let's check and see if I have any crazy comments. I'm curious. Let's see if any new comments have come in. Yeah, someone talking about measurements. I don't give a fuck about that. Oh, what else? Yeah, here's a guy. This guy here. This guy asked me, he's like, is your memory of the are you reviewing the original SV3000 from memory, or do you still have it there? And I was like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I already know where this is going. You're about to tell me audio memory isn't good, and I don't want to deal with this. Let me reply to him. Bye-bye. Block. So I'll never have to see that guy's bad attitude again. Guys, I'll block so many people. There's so many audio files that are so entitled, so rude. Like, they want to give their opinion about all kinds of shit. And sometimes I try to be polite, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm the content creator. Like, I'm the one giving my opinion. Like, I'm not so interested in your feedback of my work. I'm not the topic of the video. The product is, right? And then they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't put yourself in the public sphere if you don't want feedback. I'm like, I didn't ask you for feedback. Like, you're a stranger to me. You wouldn't walk up to a stranger in real life and start like judging their clothing. That would be like really weird, you know? So I just block people like that. I have someone asking me if they can use Bluetooth with the 3000 Revolution. That's a crazy question. It's probably like a normal consumer though, you know? All right, let's get back to the stream. Dan says, I couldn't agree more about shitty speakers in restaurants. Even if they are good speakers, they are tuned to be hot and the treble. Oftentimes, yeah. Oftentimes. Mike says, fair point on the specific sound. Makes sense. Red Pill says, Nemo, what car audio setups have you done and currently have? I'm one of those bass heads. So, like, you know, I'm older now. Like, I'm not that insane. And I need, like, the trunk space. So my R8 V10 doesn't have a stereo. It just has like the factory Bang & Olufsen sound system with the factory subwoofer. And it's, for that type of car, it's plenty good enough. It hits like about like 40 hertz just fine. You know, and it's even powerful at 40 hertz. My S7 has the Bose stereo from the dealer, just like from the factory. And in terms of like mids and highs, it's actually really good. What it doesn't have is bass. So I went through like 7 different subwoofer setups in that car. And what I finally settled on is designing a custom box. I had some guy make it for me. I like everything like down to the port geometry I designed myself. And I designed it around the Memphis Mojo 8-inch subwoofer. That's like a pretty good, it's like a SQL 8-inch. It's good for like 900 RMS, they say. I don't know if it could really handle 900. I'm only throwing like 450 to it. I'm using a Helix amp. I'm using a line drive converter, or a line driver for like a high to low converter, because I'm, you know, I kept the factory head unit. Obviously, it's an S7, and I'm just like, that's it, and it sounds fucking great. You know, it sounds great. And my box is like, it's a small vented box. And I broke a lot of rules making it, but I knew what I was doing. So like, this is why I chose the Memphis. You know, it has 900 watts power handling, but I'm only sending 450 to it. Why? Why did I choose such a beefy driver? Because I'm abusing the fuck out of it. I have it in a box tuned well below its resonant frequency, which is a big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. You generally reduce the speaker's power handling by a lot when you do that. But I knew if I started with a driver that could take the abuse and had the power handling capability to handle that kind of abuse, like my box is tuned to like 29 hertz, I think, which is really low, you know, because what I was trying to do is make an 8-inch that could sound like a 12-inch. And I was able to accomplish that. Now, my S7 is technically a hatchback. The trunk airspace is shared with the cabin, so that helps a lot. And even in my car, I don't really listen louder than 85 dB. So for me, that's the perfect subwoofer. And I think the enclosure is only about 15 inches wide. The amp is a Helix M1 from Audio-Tech Fisher, I believe. Johnny says, have you heard the new Paradigm Defiance S series? I just purchased 2 of the 10s. Really good. New sealed subs. I haven't, but I did review the Martin Logan Dynamo 10 and Dynamo 12. And everyone says the Martin Logan Dynamo and Paradigm Defiance are like the same. So I don't really feel the need to review those also. But yeah, they are good subs. I think there's a lot of new people in this live stream. Jason is asking if I'm going to review the SVS SB5000. No, I don't review subs over 100 pounds, my bro. No way, no chance. Canadian guy, really enjoyed the REL T0 Mark III review. It led me to grabbing one. Works great in my computer room paired with a Wharfedale Evo 4.1. That's a great little microsystem. That's great. You're using the T0 correctly. You wouldn't believe how many people saw that review and asked me, oh, you know, I have like a medium-sized room. Do you think a pair of T0 will be good? No, that's not what it's for. Oh my God, no, that thing is for like intimate, cozy system. It is not for a medium and upsized room at all, but in the right setting, it's a fantastic little unique product. Dan says, I left Audio Gone after a few people said they wouldn't consider gear under 5K, and then I found Nemo's channel. Nice. That's pretty snobbish of them. That's weird. Usually the guys with money aren't that snobbish. It's usually the guys that don't have a lot of money that are really snobby, which is weird. You know what I mean? I often see guys with less talking poorly about the guys who spend more. I see that way more than I see guys with esoteric gear talking down to people. Last year, REL was not there. They did not have their own room. There was a dealer that was like showing off REL. There were a few rooms that were showing off REL products, you know, but I believe that was one of their distributors or dealers. I could be wrong. I remember that room though. I remember what you were talking about. Actually, I think you're right. I think that like it was a small room like off in the corner. You know what I mean? I do remember that. You are right. Actually, you're right. But Rerun says, I also have some ear damage, so I upgrade the DAC and streamer on my system. I improved the soundstage to a pitch black background. Now I'm able to enjoy music again more. Yeah. For guys with hearing damage, getting that noise floor as low as possible is really important. If you've got tinnitus, for example, you're going to be really sensitive to distortion and it's going to bother the hell out of you. You won't be able to hear the distortion, but the effects of it will disturb you. So you're going to want to look at, you know, the power conditioner upgrades and things like that that tend to lower the noise floor. Yeah. Raphael says, hey, Nemo, I know you're not talking about home theater much. Still curious to know what you think about REL 3D augmenting the center speakers with a dedicated sub. Do you think it's worth it? Worth it is a difficult question to answer, right? Because, you know, like it's your money you're spending. Is it going to be an improvement? Yeah, of course. But look, there's guys, they have $5,000 DACs and they say it's totally worth it. I use a $1,000 DAC. I can afford a $5,000 DAC. But to me, the $1,000 DAC's good enough, you know? So this is kind of a value question, brother. Everyone I know who's tried it loved it, you know? So if you've got some extra cash and you want to try putting a T7X or a T9X to support your center, go for it. Everyone I know who's done it said it was freaking awesome and they loved it. Just Browsing says, I'd love to hear more about how you hook up your sub to the car. Been out of car audio for decades. Do you just tap off one of the high-level speaker lines since you kept the factory head unit? Yeah, pretty much. But, you know, that signal on its own is not Most amps cannot receive that, you know, so you have to use what's called a high to low converter. And if you go to a regular stereo shop, they'll put a high to low converter in there. It's a $12 passive part, and they're okay. I use an active high to low converter by Wavetech, I think. And it even has a one-band PEQ built into it, which is pretty cool. There's also Audio Control makes the LC2. That's another really good line driver. It's just kind of big. I'll link you to both of them. You can call it a line driver, a line out converter, you know. I was trying to be nice and link to Crutchfield, but they're asking me if I'm a robot and it's really annoying me. So I'm gonna leave you the Amazon link, okay? No. I almost posted in my Discord. Okay, so first link. Oh man, the link's too long. Let me see if I can shorten it for you. Where is that question mark? For those of you that don't know, you can shorten most links after the question mark. I don't see the question mark though. I'm gonna have to use Crushfield's link. It's gonna be shorter. I don't see a question mark. Oh, that's weird. It didn't pop up. Only the audio control one pops up. Yeah, look, I'm gonna link the audio control so you can see that one. This is like the standard. This is the go-to most people use. That's a really good line output converter. Audio Control is a great brand. Let me see if I can find a better link for the one I use. Yeah, here we go. It's the Link DQ by Wavetech. It's like $100. All right, the second link is the one I use, the Wavetech, and I like it because it's like this big, and the audio control one's like this big. So the audio control one's like a lot longer and thicker, and I have it like stashed in this like hidden area in the back of my car, and I needed a smaller one. But the audio control, if the size isn't an issue, the audio control one's really good. Just don't use, there's a setting on the audio control that detects bass and adds more. And it's really, it's cool because if you listen to say like Mexican music that doesn't have a lot of bass, it'll add it in. It's like an auto EQ, but it has a slight delay I can hear. So I keep that setting turned down all the way. I think it's like the second knob that does that. Michael says, I've bought a few pieces based on your channel, and I must say my system has never sounded better. Awesome, dude. Love to hear that. That is great. That's fantastic. Happy to help. Raf says, thank you for the feedback. No problem. No problem. Oh, I skipped a comment. Raf says, I would get a T7X. Perfect size for my room. Price is quite okay. Yeah, do it. Add that T7X to your center channel. It's not snake oil. Like, Rel's not lying, right? Like, I know Rel says a lot of stuff that seems like marketing, but Rel is actually like one of the most honest companies. They really are. Like, even look at their subwoofer specs. They're so honest. Like T9X, they rate it 27 hertz. You don't think they would sell more if they said it did 25 hertz? Of course it would. But they're so damn honest. And a lot of companies are not that honest. Rel doesn't exaggerate anything. Their marketing is bang on the money. All those videos John Hunter makes, all those blog posts, you can like trust everything they say. They are not bullshitters at all, which is really cool, honestly. So, all right. Well, it looks like things are slowing down. I'm not seeing any new comments pop in. We've been at this for about almost 2 hours. not like an hour and 45 minutes. Sometimes this is where we call it quits. Other times it keeps going. It's up to you guys, the audience. You guys know me. I never like to overstay my welcome, so I'll give it a little more time, but if it ends here, I'd say we had a pretty good stream. Just browsing. It depends. Sometimes I use low level input with my rel subs. Sometimes I use high level inputs. It just kind of depends what I'm doing. Most of the time I'm using high level, but if I'm using just one instead of the pair, then I'll use low level because I have mono blocks. Oh, looks like the rain finally stopped. Thank God. All right, guys, I'm gonna call that a stream. 105 minutes is pretty good. So let me see what I want to say in closing here. Mark Pena says, you're underestimating our ability to watch a long review in reference to my comment about the 3000 Revolution being 33 minutes. I do intentionally try to keep my reviews around 15 minutes or less. Under 20 minutes for sure is what I aim for. That one was just long, and I was like, you know what? That was a good take. I'm going to post it. So I don't know. I mean, if you guys don't mind them being a little bit longer, I'll consider like not having to rush through them. Because to keep them like under 20 minutes, like sometimes I have to rush a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like that video got a really good reaction, but it's also like the only review of the subwoofer. So it's going to get a lot of views either way. You know what I mean? But I remember the first time I reviewed the KEF LS50 Meta, my first take was 35 minutes. And I just deleted it and I reshot it. And I think I got it down to 18 minutes. Anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. I don't know what the next review will be. I don't know. It might be a comparison between amps. I still need to review the Atome GT sub. I still need to review Thomas's stuff, the Galleon preamps and the stereo power amp. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a beautiful week. Take care. Maybe